So, hello everyone, and welcome to the session using Sitecore Flow to empower marketers. My name is Doroshenko. I work for Sitecore, and my job is, together with my teammates, I build companies' own websites, such as Sitecore.com, and most of the other Sitecore's web properties, both internal and external. Today, I'll be talking about open source project which I've created in my spare time. It's a set of recipes for integrating Sitecore and Microsoft Flow in such a way that you just install one thing and it integrates Sitecore with all of the modules all of the connectors which are available in Microsoft Flow. But to start, let me start with a short questionnaire here. So, how many of you know what is Microsoft Flow? Okay, like 6 people. And how many of you know what is Sitecore SXA? Okay, mostly everyone. Okay, so I'll have a few slides on Microsoft Flow to quickly just explain what it is. So Microsoft Flow allows you to design multi-step logical workflows without coding, so you just drag and drop everything to these workflows. It has branching conditions like marketing automation in Sitecore. It has approval requests, and it's an enterprise product, and you can work securely. You can even apply, if you have data loss prevention policies in your organization, you can apply them to these flows. So just a simple example, in like 5 minutes, you can set up workflow where you will capture some tweets from Twitter. You will have some custom filtering logic, again, all using UI and drag and drop in boxes. And you will check if it has more than 100 followers, and you can, for example, create a lead in Dynamics 365 and add this user to some MailChimp distribution list. And you can really do it in like 5 minutes. It has hundreds of connectors already implemented, and this number is growing every day. And the good thing about this tool is that the APIs are always up to date. So if there is an API change, then either Microsoft or the vendor itself, they will update this connector. So you don't have to worry about any API breaking changes, any base address changes of this API or anything like this. And getting back to Sitecore and motivation for this project, a situation that happened to me just recently. One of my colleagues came to me and said, hey, Alex, we need to build a website. It should be a brand new website, no legacy code. It should be based on Sitecore 9 and all of the latest and greatest features. And we had the mockups and understanding of what it should be, this website. And it was like one of the mockups. It's all made up, but it's somewhat similar to what we had to develop. And it looked pretty simple. And our plan was that we just take, install Sitecore 9, install Sitecore Experience Accelerator, then we do some prototyping, just drag and drop in the controls to the pages, probably sending the extract of SXA to the front-end developers so that they create the front-end part. And yeah, it should be basically just all should be ready because we're using SXA. We had a few more mockups. Like we thought we can use Power BI for the charts, we have the video component, we have map component, and it looked like for all of the pages we could just use SXA, rich text here, use some bootstrap grid, and it looked pretty simple. And the plan was still the same, like install Experience Accelerator and we can finish this project. But when I saw this slide, I've realized that it might be not as simple, because yes, we have in Sitecore 9, we have forms, so we don't have to install anything. But the issue was that the team wanted to connect this form to both Salesforce and Dynamics 365, and they wanted to put some data to the GoToWebinar to subscribe the user to some webinar series. And of course, send an email with submission details to the team. So we should start thinking about some SMTP server or something. And also the team which requested this website, they were using SharePoint item list at that point. And it would be really nice to put all of the data we capture in this form also to the SharePoint list the team was using in the past. And suddenly this plan becomes a lot more complicated. We need to install security provider for Dynamics, some Salesforce connector, think about SMTP, and for some actions like GoToWebinar or SharePoint, since there are no built-in connectors, we have to develop something custom. Not too complicated, but still, yeah, it would take time. So imagine what if we could just take Sitecore and integrate it with Microsoft Flow, because for each of these connectors like SMTP, Salesforce, Dynamics, even GoToWebinar and SharePoint, we have connectors in Microsoft Flow. So if we could just take this data from Sitecore and put it to Microsoft Flow for the further processing. And then this plan would become this plan, because we just have to install one module and we don't have to take care of any other integrations. In other words, this man would become this man. At least I feel that confident when I know that I don't have to develop all of these custom integrations. I don't want to learn SharePoint API, GoToWebinar API, and each of the integrations I take, I have to maintain it in the future. So I cannot just develop it and leave it alone. I have to maintain it when the API changes in future. So let's see how Sitecore and Microsoft Flow work together, and forms are a perfect example because there will be never enough standard save actions because just there are too many of them, and at least until we'll fully platform as a service, we cannot just keep up with the number of actions and keep the API up to date with twice a year major releases. And integration with Microsoft Flow, it just adds these hundreds of save actions to Sitecore, both VFFM module, Web Forms for Marketers, and Sitecore Forms. And what it does, it basically sends all form fields to the Microsoft Flow, and it allows you to submit the data instantly, because you just pack the data, you send it to Microsoft Flow, and even if you have sequential actions which will take like 15 seconds to execute, you don't have to worry about it, because it happens on the back end, and the form submits will be instant. And in most of the cases, like, well, at least more or less simple scenarios, it will be just one action which replaces all of the other actions you need, because you send the data to Microsoft Flow and the rest is processed there. How it works? You just, within Sitecore, you just add one save action, and you need to configure just one field, which is the address of the trigger on the Microsoft side. And we also have some stuff called JSON schema. It's basically schema you can copy to Microsoft Flow, and it will have this smart IntelliSense on the Microsoft Flow side so that you can see which field you can use in the flows. So yeah, let's see how it works with the forms. I have a quick demo for that one. Oops. Yep, so, okay. So I have simple feedback form here. Imagine we have a form which users fill in, for example, after the purchase. They fill in their name, email address. Let's just populate something, like I'll choose Berlin, and leave some message here like, hello, SUGCON. Oops, SUGCON, yes. And on the back end, we have just one form, Web Forms for Marketers form, and Sitecore Flow module installed. So we'll have just one action. Let's wait while it loads. Okay, marketers, sample. Okay, while it loads, oh yeah, here it is. So we have just one save action here, and if we click edit, we see that we have just one post URL here. This is the address of the flow where the data will be posted, and we have the JSON schema, which we will copy and set up at the Microsoft Flow side. So we have a flow here and quite a few actions in it. So the first one is a trigger, and this is an address which I've copied over to Sitecore. And the second one is the one I've copied from Sitecore to this flow. And what it gives me is that I can now use the fields from the form, like we have city, email address, message, and the name. We can use them in all of the actions we have in Microsoft Flow. So for example, here we have VSTS action, which will create work item in Microsoft TFS online service. We just populate some fields like account name, and we can get feedback from the users from this form directly to, let's just submit it for now. Yep. Directly to TFS, and we can also play some games with the customer. If use some kind of gamification, we can get, let's say, the weather data for the city where the user is located, and then we can also use some conditions based on both this forecast for the user's city which he has selected, and let's say if the user's moon phase on the next day in this city is equal to full moon, we'll send some custom email like you've unlocked some special and here is your 25% discount for your next purchase. And if not, you can just send your standard email. So you decide, and you can use whatever you want. Like if you got the weather conditions for tomorrow, you can suggest the customer to take an umbrella or just anything else. It just empowers your creativity. And for each of the submissions, we can also see all of them in the dashboard. So this one was submitted like 1 minute ago. And we can see, we can trace all of the details of the submissions. So we've received this HTTP request. We see all of the data which was submitted here. We've created TFS work item, and I will show it later. We have forecast for Berlin. It's MSN weather something service. We even have like wind speed, rain chance, and everything. And based on this condition, we see that it doesn't match. It's not a full moon in Berlin today. And we'll just send a standard email, and we've got all of the details from this email, and we've got this email in my inbox. And also we've got, if we update visualstudio.com, we've got this feedback in TFS. And just imagine how much time it would take you to integrate Sitecore from scratch with TFS, with any of the custom services you have here. And it's not just 200 connectors. Each of the connectors Microsoft provides or the vendors provide, it has up to 10 different actions, conditions, and lots of other tools. So let's get back to the presentation. Okay, so the next really good use case for Sitecore Flow is marketing automation. Why? Because it's complicated. At least maybe it's just me, but it took me really a while to understand how to deploy, develop, and debug this custom marketing automation activity. And how to measure complexity? For me, it was such called blog post score. How many blog posts it takes to explain a feature. And an example from our partner, Brimit, I think, it shows that it takes like 4 blog posts to explain how to develop custom marketing automation activity. And that's a lot. It was like maybe 1 for this feature in the previous version of Sitecore. And it also adds more than 200 integrations to Sitecore marketing automation. And we can build more complex scenarios than we have in Sitecore, because it's just We can use them together, and it just has more features because it's a single purpose of this product of Microsoft Flow is to build workflows, and it has loops. You can use some custom conditions, approvals, and still with integration between Sitecore and Sitecore marketing automation and Microsoft Flow, you can use them together, and still no coding required. And the configuration is still as simple. You just have HTTP post address where you post the data about the customer in marketing automation. By default, the module will post all the contact details like name, country, addresses, and company of the person. And I have a quick demo for that one as well. Oops. Yes, here it is. So if we go to marketing automation, we can have some scenarios like when the user downloaded some brochure, we'll wait for some time, send an email campaign for him. Oops. And then wait for the visit. And if he visited the website, everything is simple. We'll just increase engagement value. But if not, and we want to attract this visitor to our website, we might want to use some additional and more powerful tool like Microsoft Flow. And it's as simple as just dragging and dropping this custom action to the marketing automation plan. And again, we just specify just one URL, just address of the Microsoft Flow. We have the schema with the name, email, and the contact details. And this, of course, can be extended if you have some custom phases. You can extend it, and you can push any of the data about the contact or the current visit, send it to the Microsoft Flow. And on the Microsoft Flow side, if you go this demo, let's see what we have here. At this demo, I will just also receive a request. I have all of the fields here, so I can use this IntelliSense. And this is the thing, for example, you cannot just do out of the box with marketing automation. You can connect to some external service, get the data from this service. In this example, I will use Excel spreadsheet, and the data comes from Microsoft OneDrive. So I have a file over here with the leads. And again, just for simplicity, it's an Excel spreadsheet here, but it can be Dynamics 365 or Salesforce connector, which will have the information about our customers. And here we have like Nike and Habitat and their revenue. And we will get the data about this company which triggered this marketing automation campaign. And then we can filter it. And let's say if a company from this list with high revenue, some potential leads, if it has visited the website, then we send an email to the team. Let's say that, hey guys, this potential lead, which we are waiting for, we have it in our special Excel spreadsheet or just special marketing list in Dynamics, has just visited the website. And I know that testing marketing automation also can be quite tricky. And yes, you can use things like identifying user just from code and then abandon session, and the data will be immediately sent to the database. But what you can also do with Microsoft Flow is you can test flows, and you can choose the data from your previous runs. So you can use the data from the previous submission and just see how the new flow, you can update the flow, still submit the same data, and see how it will perform. So I will choose the data from the previous runs, which I submitted yesterday. I will test it. And we can see in real time how these actions are executed. So this action executed, we've got the list of visitors, we filtered the array, and at the end we sent an email because it was a potential lead from Habitat, and we get all of the details like John Doe from Habitat with some estimated revenue has just visited the website and performed some marketing activity. And I will also receive this one in email. And so it's all configured just from UI. You don't have to do any coding with it at all. So let's just quickly get back to slides. And one other small but really neat example of this integration is workflow, because it just allows you to send all of the item fields to the Microsoft for the further processing. So you can have some custom logic when the item enters some workflow state, and it will send like all fields and the item URL to Microsoft Flow or any other custom data. And you can set up some, like you can see on the top right corner, you can set up some share buttons, like you can share items to Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other service which is supported by Microsoft Flow. You can set up this integration and sharing fields from your items in also like just a few minutes without any coding. And it's also set up it's just a standard workflow action. So you create a command, you create custom action, you set up HTTP post address, and it's just as simple. I will just quickly show this one too. So we're in Sitecore. And let's say I want to share some item. It could be news item or anything like news item on our internal website and publish it to Yammer. And how it's set up, we just go to workflows. And when it's approved, this one is just standard Sitecore's command, and you see it as a command in the ribbon then. And here you have Sitecore flow action, and you just click insert, and next to standard action, you have Sitecore flow action. Yes, test. And all you need to populate here is just, again, address of the flow where the data will be posted, and that's it. And here, I'll just quickly try it out. Yes. And I have my test Yammer group here. We don't have any posts yet. And I will go to Sitecore. I will click this Publish to Yammer button. Yep. Not yet. Interesting. Let's see. Oh. Okay, let's see. It's running. Yeah, I forgot one thing. You can have approvals on your workflows. So if you don't want your editors just to publish anything they want to Facebook, to Twitter, to your public accounts, you can have approval. So I just have a simple approval action here. It's also built into Microsoft Flow, part of this platform. And I will send an approval email, approval task to myself. And the action, it will proceed only when I approve it. And if I go to my Outlook contact, yeah, I have an email here. And thanks to Microsoft's integration with its own services, you can see that you can do that directly from your Outlook web app, so you don't even have to go anywhere. It's like it works. You have these buttons within your Outlook web application or Microsoft Flow mobile app. So, say, oops, good, we submit it. You don't even have to leave your Outlook account to approve something. And once it's approved, oops, just close it. Yep. We can see that this one now finished. And we've posted the expression, the approval result was equal to true. And we've posted this message, and we should now see it on Yammer. Yep, here it is. And we have the item URL here as well. So like if we post something, we want to send address of an item to this platform. And if we edit flow again, we can see that we have just post message action. You just set up group ID on Yammer. You log in with your account, like here, or you can have some service account and post as some service account with appropriate permissions to post to that page. And you set up message text, and all of these fields, they just come from Sitecore. In this case, on a standard home item, we have just title and text fields. And now, last time getting back to presentation. Extend. Yep. If you think that 200 connectors are not enough, or if you don't have the connector you want in Microsoft Flow, you can still use it as a kind of proxy, which will easily connect your website to all kinds of Microsoft services, Microsoft Azure services like Service Bus, or even recently they've announced Azure Functions. So you can just take all of your fields or take all of your marketing automation data and send it to Microsoft Flow, and then process it with Azure Functions. Like, if you don't like C#, which is Sitecore's language, or you prefer Java, Python, even PHP, you can just send this data to Azure Function and process it in a language which you prefer. So to sum it up, Sitecore Flow module allows you to push your forms, marketing automation, workflow data, and to Microsoft Flow, and use pre-built connectors to connect Sitecore to all of the services which are supported by Microsoft Flow. It is really simple. It has like one DLL, 2 config files, and a bunch of items in a 200 kilobytes package, which installs in less than a minute on your website. It's robust. There is no rocket science in this module. It just packs your data into the JSON format, and it ships it to Microsoft Flow. And it's efficient because if you've ever worked on optimizing form submit speed, and you know that sometimes even 200 milliseconds are important when you have like 10 different actions on your demo form, you have to create a contact, put it to some marketing list, and you cannot execute all of these actions asynchronously because, for example, before you can put a contact to the marketing list, you have to create a contact first. And it will take 10, 15 seconds if you have a lot of actions. With Microsoft Flow, it will always be just immediate, and the data will be processed, whatever it is, at the Microsoft Flow, and the visitors will not notice it. But it's not a silver bullet, because there will be situations when you, for example, when there is no connector in Microsoft Flow and something completely custom, and you might want to just develop it yourself. Also, in some cases, if you want more control over the process, or you want to get some data back from the action which executed, like from Salesforce section, you want to get some contact ID back immediately, then yeah, you have to write something custom. But if it fits your needs, and especially if you're using Microsoft's own Office 365 platform, like emails and everything, it's all integrated. It even comes, if you use Microsoft Office, it comes with Flow already enabled, so you can use it without any extra charges. So if it fits your needs, you're welcome to check out this GitHub repository, check out the code, submit your ideas, bugs, or anything, like maybe some feature requests. And I want to thank you for attention. Thanks to our sponsors. And if you have any questions about this module, you can ask me now, later today, or just contact me by email or Twitter account. Yeah, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Do you have any questions? Yes?
Do you think it would be possible to have any trigger on Flow to call a page inside Sitecore to do automation in Sitecore, like create a XDB contact or
yes, I'm thinking about it. It would be really cool because if it was two-way integration, it's something for the phase 2, I would say, because it would probably require some customization at the Sitecore side. But yeah, if it's at all possible, yeah, I will make sure that it will be in this module. Questions? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned that the module is robust.
Yes.
Does it mean that, let's say, Microsoft Flow's web service is down?
Yeah.
There's some queuing mechanism that will push the request later.
For now, it will just log an error message, and that's it. That's it. If there is a problem with connector itself, then Microsoft will notify you, and it will allow you to resubmit your flow. But if it's a network problem, the form submit, it will not fail. It will just submit, and you'll get a log error message. Yeah, for now, that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
There is an ability to schedule events in Flow. So I want an action to be triggered at a certain time.
Yes, you can have some kind of timers in Microsoft Flow. I will just extend. Oops, let's see it. Duplicate. So you can have something like timer. No. What? Schedule, maybe. Yeah, you can trigger something on schedule, but again, this would require some kind of two-way integration. That if something happens here, then you connect to Sitecore, and this is kind of something for the future of this module. Yeah, not yet. Yeah. Oh, sorry, this guy. Yeah.
I have a question related to intranet solutions. So what do you think, is Microsoft Flow the right solution if you need to implement intranet solution which needs some workflows which cannot be built by using the marketing automation built-in Sitecore standard feature?
Can you give some example?
So for example, if you have a document which needs to be logged that other users can't override, or working with on the same file, so just default SharePoint behavior.
I would probably say that it also would require some kind of two-way integration. This looks like this is really popular feature request, because how it works now, it only sends the data to Microsoft Flow, but it doesn't expect anything back. Again, for now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, same question? Okay. Any more questions? No? Yeah?
Does Microsoft Flow have limits for the amount of requests you can make to it?
Yes. They have. If you have Office 365, I think any subscription fits. You have some a few thousands invocations for each user in your organization. And again, you can buy additional ones. And if you're thinking about some massive scale, you might also think about Azure Logic Apps. It's basically the same thing. It's not connected to Office 365, but it's a service where you just pay for each submission. Yeah.
And does Flow just connect with one user, or when you set up like Sitecore Flow, or are there multiple users you're using in Flow? Is it just connecting to one Flow account, I guess, or one Office 365?
There is one Flow account for your company, and each user in your company, if it has this checkbox enabled, like this one can use Microsoft Flow, then yeah, people can, you can share these flows. So clicking this icon, you can invite people and you can work with all of your organization together on the same flow, or yeah, create multiple flows. There is no limit on the number of flows.
But does the Sitecore Flow module only connect to one user in Microsoft Flow?
Nope. It depends on the trigger address. So if some other user created another flow, it has this random trigger address, yeah, and it will be posted to a different user's account. I will just quickly show it here. Yeah, just this address. It's unique for each of the flows. Yeah.
Have you considered other applications like Microsoft Flow, like Zapier or if this then that?
Yes, they will. I think they will even work without any. I think most of them, like IFTT, they have triggers. They also expect JSON data. So yeah, potentially it should work all the same way. I'm not sure if they support these schemas that allows you to easily pick the fields. No, but you can still send the data to any other service. It's just JSON format. Okay, thank you guys. Okay.